Our Region's Business is sponsored by PNC for the Achiever in You.
It's easy to conclude that people across our region really love government. After all, we've created lots and lots of them. 130 municipalities in Allegheny County alone, along with more than 40 school districts. The old saying that all politics is local really means something around here. Yet it can have consequences, especially when it comes to disparity in government services and education. Recently, the School of Education at Duquesne University took up the issue by organizing a summit on social justice in public education. Dr. Olga Welch is dean of the school, and she joins us today on Our Region's Business. Welcome. Good to see you.
It's good to see you as well.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about how this summit came about. Why'd you decide it was something that needed to be done?
Well, because ensuring equity and excellence is a moral imperative. And Duquesne University, as you know, is founded by the Spirit and Fathers. And one of the things that they are very much about is social justice and equality. And the School of Education is equally committed in its identity to providing that same kind of focus. So it seemed to us that there were many wonderful initiatives occurring in a variety of different contexts, but that people had not the opportunity to interrogate all of these initiatives within a frame of education and public education as a moral imperative.
Well, it's no secret. I mean, our region's had a tremendous success in recovering from, the collapse of its industrial base 30 years ago, but also there's a lot of disparity here. There's people and there's places that haven't enjoyed the success that are left behind. So this is on people's minds, and I attended the event when you did it, and it was clear. This is on a lot of people's minds in a lot of different walks of life, but there seemed to be a lot of separate conversations going on about it.
Well, and the wonderful part of it was that we really set up the dialogue by, first of all, having you talk about the economic impact of education. Then we had two distinguished professors, Dr. Pedro Noguera of the New York University and Dr. Anitha Ball of Stanford University, to talk about what the research told us. And then we spent the majority of that time just having people talk to each other, from business, from industry, from civic, from foundations, from educational backgrounds, from government, to talk about the initiatives within their own areas around education, and then to dialogue with each other at the tables about what is public education as a social justice and moral imperative.
We'll try to break through those silos, start to get some cross discussion.
Exactly.
I think we actually have a little clip from Dr. Noguera, so maybe we can run that right now and see what he had to say, kind of a call to action for everybody.
You've got to find a way, and I'm glad you've got stakeholders from all over this community here today, to generate the will in Pittsburgh, so that you begin to care about your children as much as you care about your Steelers.
So there you go. We got to place as much importance on this issue as we do on the Steelers. I guess that's one way to frame it. But there's a lot at stake for all of us in how this shakes out.
Absolutely. And indeed, we had two major questions that focused the conversation. How can we better collaborate to prepare children and youth in our region so that they can successfully access educational and employment opportunities? And how are you, meaning each individual participant, defining and enacting social justice in your organization? Where does the participants' work intersect with social justice?
So do you think, did some recommendations or conclusions come out of the process? There was a lot of facilitated conversation at each of the tables. Was there any sense of consensus among the group?
Yes, actually there were several thematic portions that arose from the conversations. And there were three major ones that I think would be of interest. One, social justice needs to become a region-wide initiative. Two, the region's biggest barrier is its segregated nature. That is, that we're not having the opportunity to engage in just the kind of dialogue that we had at the forum.
And not just black-white segregation, institutional segregation.
Exactly.
Nobody's talking with each other, right?
Yes, right. Community segregation, organizational segregation. So what we're talking about is that we're siloing, and I think the participants were using segregation as a metaphor for silo. And we have to engage the students in a very holistic manner. So we can't leave them behind. And I think that Dr. Noguera's point is the problem is not the students. The problem is really us. We need to be having these conversations across a variety of different contexts if, as we say, we believe that education is a moral imperative, a critical one.
So where do you go from here? What are the next steps in trying to move this conversation forward?
Well, we had actually a Twitter feed. We have a a website so that the conversation can be continued. And we intend to follow up with the next forum, which is March the 12th. And this is, the participants wanted to continue this kind of engagement and to begin to really talk about, well, what do we really mean by social justice as an educational imperative? What does that really look like? And so we're going to do that March the 12th. And to help us and to facilitate that conversation, we've invited Dr. Jacqueline Jordan Irvine from Emory University, who studies community engagement, to lead us and then begin again, go right back into the tables, and we're going to widen the conversation. So we're going to widen the stakeholders who can be a part of this conversation.
Really cool. Only a couple seconds left, but if people want to find out more, is there a website, someplace they can go?
Yes, and I think that you already actually are showing that website at the base of the broadcast.
So just go to the Duquesne University website on the screen, and
you'll see
you're
it.
on your way.
You're
Dr.
on your way.
Olga Welch, Dean of the School of Education at Duquesne. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Appreciate
for
it.
having me.
Yeah. And we'll be back in a minute with a little dollars and cents. Stay with us.